Hi everybody, I'm looking at Asterigos today. This is a game that's free for people with PlayStation Plus Premium. It's free for 2 hours on the game trials section. After that you do have the option to purchase it from in-game, or you can purchase it from the store directly. If you don't want to, you can obviously delete it. There's no point in keeping it in your menu simply because after that 2-hour trial you can't use it until you actually buy it. So if you don't want it, then do remember to delete it. So I'm going to be looking at this to see whether it is a true ARPG under my definition, which if you've watched any of my other videos you will probably know what that is. So I will be looking at the ability to change your equipment, the ability to change the look of your character. It's already failed on one count in the gameplay because you cannot create your own character. So one thing I will say straight away is, to my definition, this is not a true ARPG. Now don't get me wrong, it does have a lot of what you would consider to be ARPG tropes, I suppose, but I would consider this ARPG light, and the reason why is you cannot create your own character and you cannot pick up new armor. So you basically do not change the look of your character unless you equip skins. Now, to me, that's not really an ARPG system. It's probably more JRPG in reality, and I do believe that this studio is a Japanese studio. So it is nice to see that it is more live action combat rather than turn-based. Realistically, looking at it, the environments are relatively nice. It does have a cartoony vibe to it, very similar to Kena, or even Immortals Phoenix Rising. For those of you who haven't played that, it's an open world action-adventure game. Very similar vibe to this actually, that's basically Greek gods, whereas this is Roman and Greek god kind of era. So if you've played either of those, you kind of know what sort of art style to expect. Now, you do have interactions with pieces of the environment, so you will have documents that you can read, as you can see on screen. You will have chests that you can interact with at a later date. I have played just over an hour and a half of the trial, so I do know some of the things that come up in the future. I'm not going to show much of it on screen because I don't want to spoil the trial, because although I'm going to give you my impressions, your impressions may vary completely, and it's different playing a game than watching it. This is just giving you an idea. I would advise you, if you have PlayStation Premium even, not Premium, to give it a go yourself, because it really will give you more of an idea about whether you'll like the final product. So as I alluded to, you cannot change your armor, you can only equip skins. However, you do have trinkets, and this is where the JRPG comparisons come in. So you can wear 3 different trinkets, such as amulet, rings, or even, I think there was boots that I saw at one point. Those go in your trinket slot and can boost your abilities, your armor, and various other aspects. I have not found a way of changing your weapons. You basically have access to 6 and you can equip 2 at any time, but you cannot change them. They are always the same weapons. What you can do is you can upgrade them at a smithy. Now, I'm not going to show you the smithy in this. I'm literally going to show you opening area, and there is going to be a cut to some more advanced stuff in the menus later on, but that's purely because the initial section really is quite poor when you look at it. So we go through the menus. There are spawn points, and when you activate the spawn points you have the option to rest. Now, it's very similar to Dark Souls. These are like campfires. As soon as you rest at a campfire or at one of these conduits, as they are called, all of the enemies that you've already defeated reset, so do be careful with that. It does refill your health, of course, and that is the offset to it. Now, you will have to forgive the combat in these early stages because I'm very much used to playing parry systems at the moment. In fact, pretty much all of the games that I've been playing recently have some form of parry system, apart from Diablo, but Small Land, good grief. Grounded is what I was trying to say. No idea why I tried to say Outland then. They've both got parry systems, and I have been playing those quite considerably. So I was trying to parry everything, and unfortunately parry in this game is not a thing. You can block, no problem, but you cannot do a perfect timed parry. Now I thought that red circle that just popped up on screen was actually the indicator to try and block, but that means it's an unblockable attack, I believe. One thing I would say is this combat system does not give you any instruction whatsoever about how to do things, so it doesn't say this is dodge, this is attack or anything like that. If it did, I missed it, so just be aware of that little tidbit there. Now there are some things that I do like, such as when you get a journal entry, she actually takes out a journal and writes in it. But let's go into the more ARPG aspects. So we do have weapons, as I said before. You can equip 2 out of the available 6. We also have the attributes where you can basically upgrade your attack, your HP, I think it's I don't know what ACN means. I have no idea, and it doesn't explain it anywhere either. I suppose if you pressed square it would probably give you a tip for that, but I never did, so it might be worth doing that if you do play through the game. So your ability and talent system, this is where I'm going to cut very shortly into more advanced, because this looks very, very, well, how should I say it, poor. When I first saw this, I'm not really sure what sort of progression system this is, because there's not much you can do with it, and that to me was quite glaring. You can see that all of these star points actually have negative effects as well, so you can pick ones that give you bonuses, but the star ones really do give you negatives. So this one, for instance, maximum that can be applied or carried, so your potions, is reduced by 4. Now that's quite significant, and the bonus isn't that good. Yeah, it's just a little bit odd. But like I say, these do actually expand out, as I will show you now. So as you can see, it does get much, much bigger. And the bonus with the expansion, once you finally unlock it, and it is quite far into the trial, I'm not sure how big the game is, but you can actually cycle it round, and there's 3 different sections that you can cycle into position, and those relate to 2 different weapons. So what you can do is, and I believe you can do this, you can actually link multiple ones of these dials, I think, I'm not sure, but it does mean that you are tied to 2 different weapon combinations if you want the skills for those 2 different weapons, for instance. So when I was playing through, I picked spear, but I equipped sword in my primary slot. The problem with that is sword and spear are actually on 2 different talent trees, so it's definitely worthwhile looking out for that. Now we do have skill settings, so we do have certain skills. I'm not quite sure how they unlock, but it's probably as you get used to different weapons. The ones in the middle are for all different weapons, whereas the ones that either side are weapon specific. We also have some perks. These are gained through your talent tree, and I've only got 1 during this playthrough. Now one thing to note is there are boss battles, and as I said before, these are actually very similar to Dark Souls in as far as they are epic battles and you have to dodge a lot. There is also this mini game of opening chests with your daggers, and it increases a reputation bar at the top for every one you open, and then you get a bonus for every, I think it's 6th one you open. I'm not quite sure what that mechanic's all about, because I only found enough to level it up once and I did get a bonus. Not quite sure why, but there we go. So let me cut to a boss fight. There are 2 boss fights that I managed to, well, 3 boss fights actually that I managed to get involved in during the trial. I will show you the first one because it's basically in very poor, but I believe it is the tutorial area. So if I cut to that, you'll kind of see how the combat goes. But I did forget that there was this big fight first, so I'll show you this and then I'll cut to the big boss fight. So as you can see, I did say that I wasn't very good with the combat, and in this section I practically die. I'm literally about a millimetre of health away from dying because I'm constantly trying to parry. And as I said previously, the parry system in this does not exist. It's block and you have to preemptively block, or it's dodge. Around this sort of time I realised that dodge was the way forward, but just like Dark Souls, it does take your stamina down, as you can see. Not as much as blocking though, so dodge is definitely the way forward. So I got another talent point, and that's me just trying to work out that parrying doesn't necessarily work. And the area just up ahead is where the boss fight is. So we do get a nice cutscene. It's all in-game graphics, so there's no CGI here, which is quite nice. I do like this. It's the actual cutscene system that I enjoy, rather than necessarily like photorealistic graphics in the cutscenes. But it's just the spectacle of it, I suppose. I'm a bit odd in that regard because most people don't like cutscenes because supposedly it ruins the immersion. But like I say, I actually enjoy it. So here we go, giant crocodile as the first boss fight. Now, I'm still trying to block at this stage, by the way, so I know that I can dodge, but when I was playing through, it wasn't until the third boss, or second boss I should say, that I kind of realised that dodging was definitely the way forward, because you can't time the blocks. There's no indicator really as to when to block. And it is pretty difficult. Now again, because I'm using block, I am basically injured quite a lot during this fight and nearly die, but it is a boss fight, so it's kind of to be expected. I'm also not using the best weapons for me, so I'm using sword and daggers currently, and I usually prefer spears, so I will need to equip spear and dagger to get the most out of the talent tree. But as you can see, it's quite a... It's not a difficult fight, it's just me not being very good that's causing this problem. But the artwork of the actual enemy is pretty decent. The actual damage numbers coming up on screen are quite nice. They don't seem to be different colours, so I don't know whether there are critical hits or anything. I didn't notice them anyway, but it's not a bad system. There we go, and the boss is down. Now, levelling up seems to be a bit strange, because killing that boss sent me from level 2 to level 5. Maybe I wasn't supposed to go straight to that boss, but I couldn't find or see any other way to go. But definitely relatively good fun boss fights. So there we go. My impressions. It's not an ARPG as I would call it, but again it's a bit more along the lines of Stray Blade, so if you've seen my video on that you kind of know what you're looking at. It's pretty decent, don't get me wrong, and for £10 it's definitely worth it. I would say if you're looking for a proper ARPG like Kingdoms of Amalur or Dragon's Dogma, I would not say that this meets those categories, so yeah, it's more of an action adventure. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Please make sure you do click the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you for my next video very soon. You all take care. Bye for now.